Hey, it's Soul with some midnight coverage, and we're going to talk about the relationship between professions and housing. So what you see here on screen is the current list of items used to make decor for player housing. I'll explain what all this means over the next few minutes. Please like the video, subscribe for more WoW and midnight coverage, catch me on live, and here's a really big fat warning. This is the alpha. We are very early in the process. The information coming out of this might have an immediate economic impact on the WoW economy, and what you decide to do with this information all comes at your own risk, because hey, who knows what might change. By the way, I also had less than a day to cover as much of the alpha as I could before an embargo lifts, so you have to excuse me. There are pretty much no efforts at making this information or anything here very visually appealing, and the script is very poorly written. So here's what happened. I dropped into the alpha, I made a few mages, and I zipped around the different capitals trying to learn every profession across every expansion in WoW. Now, due to limitations and limited time, I didn't have time to learn any recipes from Warlords of Draenor and Legion and Dragonflight or the War Within because of some need quest requirement, or I just couldn't get to the zones or what have you. But this should still give you a good idea of what sorts of items you may want to start hoarding or flipping for profit should you choose to take this risk. Again, this is not a guaranteed thing. I counted roughly 125 recipes between all the crafting professions, and not all professions are made equal. Inscription happens to stand out strong with over 30 recipes across the expansions compared to the others who otherwise have like 10 to 15 recipes. And reminder again, we're missing like 4 expansions worth of possible recipes, but whether Inscription stays ahead of the game once all these expansions are available, that remains to be seen. Now, the first thought might be like, hey, that's actually not a lot of recipes. Professions seem to get the short end of the stick when it comes to earning decor. Now, that might be true, but we're dealing with a different kind of consumable in World of Warcraft that we never had before with decor. So, this is what I'm thinking. For example, engineers, they can make a guillotine that might be popular for your bedroom. I don't know, but most folks might want only one. Or, okay, maybe they want a whole bunch of them, but I'm trying to compare here, because on the other hand, there are so far 6 kinds of bookshelves that scribes can make. And maybe someone only wants one for their bedroom, but maybe someone else wants one for their bedroom, but 30 more because their house is, half house, half library, and they're going to need all that. Or they need a bunch of rugs, or lampposts, or benches, or you name it. With housing, just getting a +1 to the collection, it might not mean anything, or it might not be important to someone because that person also needs to consider, okay, do I have a use for it or not? But of course, another person might need 20 of them. And I'm only showing a few recipe examples here. The requirements aren't basic. Most of these require fairly high skill to learn off a trainer in the first place. They also ask you for the likes of Arcanite and Dark Iron bars as opposed to Copper and Mithril bars, while engineering recipes, they ask for some pretty complex reagents like Corian power cores. Later expansion recipes, they're not hit as hard by this because there are fewer gathered materials compared to earlier expansions. And people will want to recolor their furniture as well, which is where dyes come in. Unlike furniture, dyes are consumed every time they're used. So if you turn that chair from red to blue and you regret it, well, tough luck, you wasted that blue dye, you need another one. Now currently, you need to have a scribe or an alchemist create dyes, and this is actually done at a special crafting table in your neighborhood. At the moment, no additional skill is required other than just having the profession, which I have a feeling is going to change. Otherwise, why even bother with the requirement? Because you just need to have a character sit there. All the recipes currently use vanilla materials, and between so many dyes, we can probably count on there being a very heavily impacted market for old world herbs, at least until this changes. There's a twist to all this too. With the exception of dyes, every decor that's craftable will require different amounts of lumber. Chopping down trees for lumber, it's not a primary or secondary skill at the moment. It's just a thing that can be farmed off anyone. They just need an axe like this, found in the neighborhood, and then they can see these nodes out in the world and off they go. And lumber is specific to each expansion's recipes. Lumber is also war-bound, as in it's not sold in the auction house. And while I can't see tooltips for the housing items yet, I'm going to assume that decor from crafting can be sold on the auction house or traded, otherwise zero decor would be sold this way, and well, Blizzard said that you can earn decor from the auction house. I have some super early impressions. So far, I like the sort of bottleneck happening, where the supply of housing decor will be based on the farming people will do as soon as the 11.2.7 patch, when I presume we can farm up lumber and craft decor. It's going to be a lot of manual work to help ensure the prices of crafted goods doesn't immediately tank. Those who intend to sell furniture will want to hopefully snipe some good prices for tons of materials as the information here in this video spreads and people start responding, and they're going to be out to work gathering the heck out of, well, wood. Folks who love gathering, though, I think they're going to win the most out of anyone from this whole housing thing. Gamers watching here are probably catching a few certain herbs, ore, and leather to pick up now in case they're used for a lot of recipes. What's hard to anticipate is what's the long-term viability of these materials. I'm mostly optimistic about it because many of the materials on this list, they already circulated enough that they're worth selling. Housing is going to introduce a massive demand early on, and it'll eventually settle down, but it'll still be at a higher price because demand will be steady and higher than it was before. At the same time, I'm concerned over the small number of recipes compared to the 1,000+ kinds of decor according to Blizzard. If there's a shelf or chair that's easier to buy, as opposed to all the hoops and resources that are used to make something that looks pretty similar, well, folks are going to make decisions. So without actually seeing what kinds of decor come from professions, those are going to be exceptional, from the quality to the personality and theme. They've got to be compelling and competitive. So what are you going to do with this information? The full list of materials, I sticked it in the comments below, and now it's up to you if you want to try buying materials cheap to craft later or to maybe flip. Please like this video if it was helpful, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.